Okay. If you have any query, then you can post on the chat box. Don't try to unmute and talk in this group. Okay. Our course is Manures, Fertilizers and Soil Fertility Management. Course number is SSAC 353. Can anybody see my screen? Is it visible to all?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now the course content, which we'll be going to cover in this course. There are different matters like importance and introduction of the organic matter. All of you know about the organic matter like bulky organic manures, concentrated organic manures, green leaf manuring, and other parts of the organic matter. In this, we'll be going to study about the properties and method of preparation of that organic manures. After that, we'll be dealing with the fertilizer recommendation approaches, how the fertilizers get recommended to the different crops. Then integrated nutrient management. You must know about the integrated nutrient management. The different nutrient sources get integrated for the management of the crop nutrient. Okay, likewise, chemical fertilizers are the richest sources of nitrogen, in which we can supplement the nutrient, in which we can supplement the nutrient accordingly when the crop is required. In that classification, composition, properties of major fertilizers. Likewise, the urea, SSP, DAP, MOP, SOP, all these kind of the fertilizers manufacturing, classification, and composition will be going to study. And in that, some soil amendments we'll be dealing with. Soil amendments like gypsum, lime, iron pyrite, gliricidia, green manuring, daincha, sunhemp, etc., etc. These soil amendments are using for the reclamation of the soil. If the pH is very less in some kind of soils, where we use lime. If the pH is very high, like the sodic soil, greater than more than 8.5, then we can use their gypsum. Accordingly, the different amendments we are going to use and apply for the reclamation of that soil. In that, fertilizer storage, fertilizer control order also we will be going to study. Okay. After that, history of soil fertility and plant nutrition. How the soil fertility comes entered in the agriculture field, how the plant nutrition plays a role in the crop management, disease management, pest management, all these kind of things will be dealing with. And at last but not least, where we'll be going with criteria of essentiality, role, deficiency, toxicity, symptoms of the essential plant nutrients. Actually, this topic should be at the beginning of this course, because before going to soil fertility and plant nutrition, we should know about the nutrient deficiencies, nutrient sufficiency, nutrient toxicity, whatever the roles of nutrients are there, that we should know about that. After that, we'll go for the fertility, plant nutrition, and manufacturing of the organic manures, fertilizers, like this. Okay. Then mechanisms of nutrient transport to plants. I think all of you must know about these mechanisms. Obviously, you have gone through the three courses or two courses of the soil science, in which these nutrients also studied and these mechanisms also you have studied. Am I right? Okay. Then next, chemistry of soil: nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, magnesium, sulfur, and micronutrients. That means all essential nutrients. Along with that, the beneficial nutrients we must consider in this, because as good as essential nutrients, beneficial nutrients also plays a role in the growth and development of the plant. That's why here it is not given the beneficial nutrients, but the essential nutrients along with the beneficial nutrients. What is the chemistry of that nutrient when we add that nutrients to the soil or directly to the plant? That will be going to deal. Then soil fertility evaluation, soil testing, critical levels of different nutrients in soil. This topic is very important when we go to the field. What kind of the applications we should use there? What kind of the analysis we should do there? That covers this topic. That means only the fertility status is not enough to apply that knowledge in the field. If some deficiencies are there, like nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, these deficiencies, differentiation, we must know. How we can differentiate the nitrogen with the sulfur, because the both deficiencies are similar. But what specific properties are there on which that deficiency we can differentiate? That we can study in this topic. At last, different forms of the nutrients, plant, how the plant get analyzed, how the soil get analyzed, and the different indicator plants for the different nutrients. That also we will be going to study in this. Methods of fertilizer recommendation. As you know, different fertilizer doses are there for the different crops. That means, for example, say for example, wheat crop is there. For wheat, we'll recommend that 150-50 NPK dose for the getting the maximum yield. If somebody wants to deal with the, instead of straight fertilizer, with the complex fertilizer or mixed fertilizer, then we'll go for that 150-50, same nutrient dose, but with the different fertilizers. That fertilizer recommendation should be specific with the pH of the soil. As we know, the ammonium sulfate is there. Ammonium sulfate must not applied in the acidic soil. Why? Because even though it is a source of nitrogen, but it creates the acidity in the soil. That's why we should apply it in the basic soils, not in the acidic soil. These kind of recommendation should be specifically identified with the pH of the soil, isn't it? Then the factors influencing nutrient use efficiency. Almost all the students have heard about this nutrient use efficiency. That means whatever the nutrients we are adding into the soil, how much amount of that nutrient get utilized by the plant. That is nutrient use efficiency. How much amount of the nutrient get leached out from the soil. That is the loss of nutrient. How much amount of the nutrients get fixed in the soil. That is also one kind of the loss of nutrients for that seasonal crop. Not for the future crops, but for that seasonal crop, it is one kind of the loss. That's why here, in case of the nutrient use efficiency, we must consider these kinds of losses and the availability of the nutrient to the plant. Okay. Everybody can see this figure?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Just one by one, I ask one thing to you. What shows this figure?
Voila.
Just raise your hands if you want to answer this. What exactly shows this figure?
Number. काय ना निवांत बसलोय बघ. नाही करायचं.
Raise your hands.
असं आहे. जेवायचं खायला निवांत झोपायचं.
Okay.
हा
Digambar Kharat.
हा
Sir,
Sir,
unmute and tell me that.
Sir, it is showing major and minor element requirement by plant.
Okay, that means this figure shows that there are different requirement of the crops. Sunlight, is it? Water, soil, along with that, the different nutrients from these three sources, isn't it? Different three things are there. The light is showing that sunlight is must for the crop. Water is showing that water is required by the plant throughout the life cycle. Soil is showing that without soil, we can grow the crop, but we cannot nourish that much amount of the crop. And these nutrients, which are indicating that there are some nutrients which without which plant cannot complete its life cycle, which you have studied in essentiality criteria. Am I right? That's why this figure clearly indicates that the different requirements of the crop, of that these four things are very much required: sunlight, water, nutrients and soil. Okay. Now we can differentiate the nutrients in the major nutrients and the minor nutrients. As per the essentiality criteria, the different nutrients are there. 17, almost 17 nutrients are there, of which they are categorized differently. The basic nutrients are carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. Why these nutrients are called as the basic nutrients? Because they are involved in the basic structure of the plant or cell. After that, the primary nutrients are there: nitrogen, phosphorus and sulfur. Sometimes nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. Sometimes sulfur also involves in the primary nutrient. For which crop? Only in the oilseed crops. The recommendation is being given for the oilseed crops. Likewise, the nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium and sulfur be considered as a primary nutrient. Okay. Then calcium, magnesium and sulfur. For rest of the crops, calcium, magnesium, sulfur can be considered as a secondary nutrients. Okay. These are the nutrients which are required in the higher amount. That's why we can say them as a macronutrients. Okay. These are the forms which plant can take up from the soil, water or air, whatever the source it may be, but these are the only forms by which the plant can absorb these nutrients from the soil, water or air, like carbon through CO2 form, oxygen from two sources, water molecule and oxygen gas, hydrogen H2O, nitrogen nitrate and ammoniacal. These two forms are there. See here, carbon, hydrogen and oxygen are given in the molecular form, but rest of the nutrients are given in the ionic form. Why it is so? Can anybody tell me? Raise your hands first.
Those molecular
Raise your hand. Are you getting my question?
No, sir.
Then answer me. Why this CHO are given in the molecular form and rest of the nutrients are given in the ionic form? Is there any difference between that ionic form and molecular form? Can anybody? Are you getting me or not? Or just I'm explaining you and you are not getting me and I'm going further on. Is there any problem with the slide? Everyone can see that slides?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, then answer me. Is there any difference between the CHO and rest of the nutrients?
Molecular.
Ramanuj. Ramanuj. If it's like that, then I have to point out the single individual one and then ask the question. I'm taking it very lightly that you can raise your hand and you can answer. But if it is like this, then we have to go for the individual. What should I do? Either to go for the individual one or I can wait for your response. Okay, Digambar. Once again. Unmute and say.
Sir, molecule have 2 or more atom and ion have positively or negatively charged.
Okay, that ion means anionic or cationic form. Either charges on it negative or positive charge. My question is that why the carbon, hydrogen and oxygen are given in the molecular form? Why not the rest of the nutrients? Okay, it's okay. You have tried one and it was good. Basically the carbon, hydrogen and oxygen, these are the nutrients. Yeah, Alvin.
Sir, solubility is solubility in soil. That's solubility in water.
Yes, that is one of the point. Solubility of that molecule or the ionic form. When we consider the solubility of that nutrient and another thing, the whatever the openings of the plant can absorb the things with that openings only. And after that, in which form they can be utilized for their metabolic activities that are important, isn't it? That's why CO2, H2O, they are as it is absorbing by the plant for the photosynthesis process only. That's why these carbon, oxygen and hydrogen are given in the molecular form, which are being used for the photosynthesis of metabolic activities. Okay, and rest of the nutrients are given in the ionic form because the molecular size of that ions and the entering point of that nutrients utilized by the plant within the metabolic activities are in these forms only. Means if, say for example, if plant require nitrogen, they cannot have that protein directly. Even though we are adding the organic matter into the soil, they are containing the protein. But plant can have only the nitrate form, which is suitable for the uptake or absorption. That's why these nitrate form is required by the plant for their metabolic activities. That's why they take only the nitrate or ammoniacal form according to the crop. Nitrate is taken up by the almost all the arable crops. Ammoniacal form of nitrogen is taken up by the almost all the anaerobic crops where the water is stagnant. Okay. Likewise, these ionic forms are for rest of the nutrients except carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. I think you are getting my point. I must think like that.
Yes.
Because you are not responding now. Then micronutrients. Micronutrients are needed in the very small amount. That's why they are considered as the micronutrients. And these micronutrients are Fe, Mn, Zn, Cu, boron, molybdenum, chlorine, and sometimes nickel and cobalt also there. In some books, the cobalt is given as the micronutrients, essential nutrient. And in some books, chlorine is given as, nickel is given as the micronutrient. Then the confusion, quite confusion is there, but we can use the cobalt as well as nickel because both are added in this micronutrient range. Okay. The forms of the micronutrients which are being uptaken by the plants as per their requirement. Here, the cationic forms and anionic forms. We can differentiate the different nutrients as per their cationic and anionic form. We can differentiate the different nutrients as per their requirement, means macro and micro. We can also differentiate the different nutrients as per their mobility. Are you getting that mobility? What is mean by mobile element and immobile element? Can you differentiate them? Anybody? Raise your hands. Yes, Ajit. Yes. Very good. Mobile element can move from one place to another place. From where these nutrients can move? As we consider that we are applying these nutrients through soil, then the root zone, the two parts are there, phloem and xylem. Plants are having two parts, phloem and xylem. Through phloem, what moves through phloem? The food material moves from the upper part of the plants to the lower parts of the plant. Same through xylem, water along with the ions moves from the lower parts of the plants throughout the plant's parts. That means the foliage and other parts of the plants. And along with that water, these ions get absorbed by the plant and it supplies to the whole plant parts, leaves, stems, barks, flowers, fruits, etc., etc. Okay, and these from lower surface to upper surface. That is the mobility of the nutrient within the plant. Isn't it? That means, for example, nitrogen is the mobile one. Nitrogen is the mobile one. Nitrogen, when the lower leaves are abundant in the nitrogen content, if the plant shows the deficiency at the upper level, because the newer leaves shows the deficiencies first at all the times. Newer leaves shows the deficiency first. That's why what are the mobile elements are there, mobile nutrients are there, they get supplied towards the newer leaves, and the lower leaves at a stage, at a level, when the whole nutrient present in the lower leaves gets applied to the upper leaves, means the newer leaves, then the deficiency occurs in the lower leaves. That means the older part of the plant, which is plenty in the nutrient, but when the deficiency occurs in the newer part, then that older part starts supplying that nutrient to the newer plant. Then the newer part, means new leaves, get fulfilled with the nutrients. After that, the lower parts start showing its deficiency. That's why the mostly all the mobile nutrients shows deficiency in the older part of the plants. Isn't it? Are you getting my point? And that shows the mobility of the plant, means which nutrient is mobile one, which nutrient is immobile one. Some nutrients are invariably mobile and immobile. Sometimes it shows the mobility. It depends on the plants and nutrient. Okay. Now the deficiency symptoms. Do you know that deficiency symptoms? Deficiency means if the nutrient requires some amount of the, plant requires some amount of the nutrient in that. That requirement is at certain level. Means both are having one demarcating line, which is called as the critical limit of that nutrient for a specific crop. That means, for example, nitrogen is present in the soil, but it is at critical level, means low nitrogen is present in the soil. If we supply that soil with the nitrogen, then plant takes that nitrogen up to a certain level. Then if it will not fulfill the requirement of that plant, then it starts showing the deficiency symptoms. Means if the requirement is 100 kilogram for that crop and we are adding the 50 kilogram of the nitrogen to that soil, then obviously the deficiency occurs in that plant. That's why the deficiency symptoms is specific for all the nutrients. Usually it appears on the plant when one or more nutrients are in deficient supply, which are in very less amount. Okay. In many cases, deficiency may occur because of the unavailability of the nutrient, like it is present in the soil. It is present in the soil, but plant cannot take that nutrient because of this ionic form. As I told you earlier slide, that plant takes only the ionic form of the nutrients like NO3, NH4. If we add the organic matter, then immediately that organic matter cannot provide NO3 and NH4 because it has to be decomposed first, then only it can provide the NO3 and NH4. After that, the nutrient uptake or absorption is there. If we are adding that nutrient in the organic form or inorganic form, and that nutrient get fixed in the soil or get lost from the soil, then the deficiency may occur in that plant. In many cases, the unavailability of the nutrient is because of the losses of nutrient, because of the different forms which plant cannot take that, and because of the fixation of the nutrient. Okay, deficiency symptom is specific for each and every element, but sometimes the confusion may be there. We cannot differentiate sometimes the toxicity and deficiency symptoms because deficiency symptoms. Same like that, in some cases, nutrients, different nutrients shows the toxicity symptoms as same. That's why it is quite difficult to differentiate with these deficiency and toxicity. We can identify or rectify these problems with the nutrient analysis. Either this deficient nutrient is sufficient or not, or this nutrient, for example, iron is there. In some crops, iron induced calcium deficiencies are there. That means iron is in toxic level, but it shows the calcium deficiency. These differences we cannot differentiate with only the visual visions. That's why the plant analysis we are dealing for. Okay. These are the mobility of the nutrients. Accordingly, the mobile, variably mobile and immobile nutrients are there. Like nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, magnesium, iron, chloride and nickel. These are the mobile one. Mobile one means which can translocate from one place to another place, which can rectify the deficiencies of the lower leaves, upper leaves or the newer leaves. Which are the newer leaves are there. These nutrient deficiencies can be rectified by the mobile one. Then variably mobile means it can mobile with the different forms. Means of the upper part, most of these nutrients are foliar spread, copper and zinc. Sulfur is present in only the organic form in the soil. Mostly 94% of the sulfur is present in the organic form, which can be converted into the inorganic form. It takes some time. That's why in plant, these mobility is only about the plant. And in a mobile, calcium, boron, manganese and cobalt. these 4 nutrients are immobile one, which cannot move from one place to another place. That's why it shows the deficiency symptoms immediately. Still what we are Are you able to? Hello?
زازا سبانا وجو زو بس ما تمانش ريكتر سر
Which is the
We are not audible, sir.
which is the form of nitrogen?
लागेल कम इस्तेफादा करू शकता
Have you
Sir,
gotten
आवाज
those
नहीं था.
facts?
Sir, you are not audible, sir.
काहीच येत नाही.
ब्रेक होतोय सर.
सर कंटिन्यू सर या दगा शुरू करो